So a few exceptions and clarifications of the rules. You cannot move a pawn along the board edge or purposely move a pawn of yours off of the board edge with a normal move to sacrifice them. That's not allowed.
And a common question I get during demos, usually at a critical juncture of the game, is, do I have to move a pawn? And the answer is yes, you must make a regular move on your turn. However, there are some exceptions here.
Yeah, if you can't move a pawn because of a certain setup involving being blocked or trapped by strongholds and other pawns, opponent's pawns, you can't move that pawn this turn. Now, if that's your only pawn this turn, then you skip moving and you sacrifice one, you discard one card from your hand and draw a new card.
Yeah.
And that's the end of that turn.
But you really have bigger problems if that's the case.
You've probably already lost the game, but just so that you can proceed for your opponent to win, that's what you do.
Yeah, exactly. So, and just to be clear, so with normal movement, can you move another pawn out of the way? No, you cannot. Right? This pawn can move here. It cannot move to the board edge. It cannot move into the stronghold. It cannot push another pawn. So it can only move to that outlet.
Another common question is, can I move my own pawns? So if you were in a position where you moved and played the sword card, and you were going to affect one of your own pawns, yes, you can affect them with either the sword card, or if you were going to be building a stronghold and moving and pushing them, they get pushed. Now, it cannot go back towards its own edge, so it would go to the side. But you can move your own pawns either with sword or stronghold, as long as you are not forcing them into an illegal move or trying to capture them.
Right. It can be an effective strategy, actually, to push your own pawns around. Another common question we get out from all you TV viewers out there in TV land is, can I push multiple pawns with one sword move? And the answer is yes. You make your regular move into this situation, play the sword card, push this pawn, and then push this pawn. And you have kind of spread the field a little bit. Can you push them if they're two in a row? Absolutely. Can you push them if one of your pawns is involved in this mayhem? Here and here and here. So you make your regular move, you make a sword move, and then shove those pawns that way? Absolutely.
Same is true with a stronghold.
And this also applies for a stronghold, where you can push multiple pawns with one stronghold. And again, though, you cannot capture your own pawns. So if this were the case, you would not be able to move and push this pawn out of the way in this direction, because the pawns always move in the direction that they're pushed. It doesn't just squeeze out that way. So in this case, you would not be able to sword in and push them that way. You would have to sword around and do something like that.
When playing the sword card, you have to make the full sword move. So in addition to your normal move, you have to follow through with the next two steps. So if the end of your sword move would result in you going off of the board or into an illegal space because of a stronghold, if you needed to end there, you cannot do that or end there because of the end of your sword move. You can't do that. You have to make the full movement, and it has to be a legal move.
Swords, the game is called Swords and Strongholds, and a situation like this seems like it's very strong for white. However, white is actually in a dangerous position. Black, if playing a sword card, black can backtrack one and then make a sword move around and push white into its own stronghold and capture it.
Strongholds cannot be pushed by sword cards. You technically aren't allowed to be in any of those 4 points around a stronghold. So you would not be allowed to get close enough to a stronghold to be able to use a sword card on it.
Right. Another common question I get is somewhere out here where, white wants to kind of sneak past its own stronghold. However, that's not allowed. No one can move along the intersections of a stronghold, whether it's your stronghold or whether it's your opponent's stronghold.
And when you're coming out of a stronghold, you go to one of the corners and then make one move, but you're not allowed to play any cards when you exit a stronghold on that turn.
Yeah, very important. And remember, perhaps the most important clarification in all of the rules is that you do not build 2 strongholds, you build 1 stronghold for victory.
Yeah. Either there or there. You do not need both.
Right. Not that. So these are the 2 victory conditions for white and black, or etc.